Welcome back to ABC GH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the intriguing developments unfolding in the world of Port Charles. Brace yourselves for a roller coaster of emotions, unexpected alliances, and shocking revelations that will leave you on the edge of your seat. A toast to unexpected alliances. In a surprising turn of events, Stella, Henry, and Tracy Quartermaine find themselves sharing a toast. This unlikely pairing raises eyebrows and sparks curiosity among fans. What could these two formidable women be celebrating? Perhaps they found common ground in their shared experiences, or joined forces to tackle a mutual adversary. The dynamics between Stella's no-nonsense approach and Tracy's cunning nature promise to create an intriguing subplot that viewers won't want to miss. Meanwhile, Brooklyn Quartermaine is seen urging someone to walk away while they still can. This cryptic warning hints at a looming danger or a potential scandal that could have far-reaching consequences. Could Brooklyn be trying to protect a loved one from making a grave mistake, or is she attempting to manipulate the situation to her advantage? The ambiguity surrounding this interaction leaves fans speculating about the identity of the person being warned and the nature of the impending threat. Clashes and confrontations. The political landscape of Port Charles is heating up as Mayor Laura Collins finds herself in a heated clash with Councilman Ezra Boyle. The tension between these two powerful figures is palpable, with Laura appearing stunned by Ezra's implications. This confrontation could have significant ramifications for the city's future and may reveal hidden agendas or long-buried secrets. As the political intrigue unfolds, viewers will be left wondering about the true motivations behind Ezra's provocative statements and how Laura will navigate this challenging situation. In another part of town, Drew Kane, Quartermaine, and Curtis Ashford's relationship takes a turn for the worse. Their once friendly bond has deteriorated to the point where Drew issues a stern warning to Curtis, hinting at the possibility of an ugly confrontation. This rift between former friends adds another layer of complexity to the already intricate web of relationships in Port Charles. As tensions escalate, the stage is set for a potential whodunit mystery involving Drew, with the list of suspects growing longer by the minute. Secrets, lies, and unexpected twists. Lulu Spencer finds herself at a crossroads as she makes a startling confession to Cody Bell. The weight of her secret, the existence of Dante Falconeri's unknown child, threatens to unravel her world. Despite Harrison Chase's advice to keep quiet, Lulu grapples with the moral implications of her silence. In a surprising move, she abruptly resigns from her position as Brooklyn Quartermaine's assistant at Deception. This sudden decision leaves fans wondering about the underlying reasons and potential consequences of Lulu's actions. The Corinthos family drama intensifies as Kristina Corinthos Davis goes on the warpath. Her concern for her father, Sonny Corinthos, reaches new heights following his collapse during a conversation with Ava Jerome. Unaware of Sonny's heart condition, Ava stumbles upon his fallen pills and seizes the opportunity to strike a dangerous deal. The desperation in Ava's actions and Kristina's fierce protectiveness of her father set the stage for a high-stakes confrontation that could have far-reaching consequences for all involved. Legal entanglements and questionable alliances. As the tension mounts, Ava Jerome turns to Rick Lansing for legal counsel. However, even Rick's expertise may not be enough to extricate Ava from the web of deceit and manipulation she has woven. The complexity of her situation raises questions about the lengths to which Ava is willing to go to secure her financial future and the potential collateral damage her actions may cause. Jordan Ashford, ever the vigilant detective, sets her sights on Curtis, subjecting him to intense questioning. This development adds another layer of intrigue to the unfolding drama, leaving viewers to speculate about the nature of Jordan's inquiries and the potential implications for Curtis and those close to him. A city on the brink. As these storylines intertwine and tensions escalate, Port Charles finds itself teetering on the brink of chaos. The intricate web of relationships, secrets, and power struggles threatens to unravel, potentially reshaping the landscape of the city and the lives of its inhabitants. Will Lulu's confession lead to the unraveling of her relationship with Dante? Can Kristina protect her father from Ava's machinations? How will Laura navigate the treacherous waters of Port Charles politics? And what dark secrets lie at the heart of Drew and Curtis's fractured friendship? As the clock ticks down to the next episode, fans are left to ponder these questions and more. The stage is set for a series of explosive revelations that promise to keep viewers glued to their screens, eagerly anticipating each new twist and turn in the ever-evolving saga of General Hospital. Next, we will learn about the explosive developments brewing in Port Charles that promise to shake the very foundations of our beloved characters' lives. The tension is mounting, alliances are shifting, and dangerous plots are being hatched in the shadows. Let's dive into the dramatic events unfolding during the week of March 20th. A fateful night and its aftermath. The tranquility of Port Charles is shattered in the dead of night, as Lucky Spencer's panicked voice cuts through the darkness. "What did you do, Kristina?" he cries out, his words hanging in the air like a foreboding omen. The scene is shrouded in mystery and danger, with only the silhouette of a figure visible behind the steering wheel of a vehicle cloaked in shadows. The peaceful night is suddenly disrupted by the jarring sound of a violent collision, followed immediately by the piercing wail of an alarm. This chilling nocturnal incident raises numerous questions that leave viewers on the edge of their seats. Is Kristina Corinthos Davis in hot pursuit of Ava Jerome, determined to exact revenge for some perceived transgression? Or has Ava become the unfortunate victim of Kristina's vehicular sabotage? The implications are far-reaching and potentially life-altering for all involved. Lucky's presence at this critical moment is equally intriguing. What brought him to this particular location at such a pivotal time? His relationship with the Corinthos family has always been complicated, and his involvement in this situation adds another layer of complexity to an already intricate narrative. His tone suggests both shock and disappointment, indicating he may have witnessed Kristina crossing a line from which there's no return. The aftermath of this collision will undoubtedly reverberate throughout Port Charles, affecting not only the direct participants, but also their extended network of family and friends. As dawn breaks over the city, the consequences of this night will begin to unfold, potentially altering the trajectory of multiple storylines and relationships. A life-or-death decision. In a scene reminiscent of classic General Hospital moral dilemmas, Ava Jerome finds herself in a position of unexpected power when she enters Sonny Corinthos' new residence. The sight that greets her is both shocking and potentially advantageous. Sonny lies prostrate on the floor, clearly in the throes of intense pain, with his vital heart medication scattered around him like fallen soldiers, unable to complete their mission. The parallel to Tracy Quartermain's infamous moment of moral failing when she withheld Edward Quartermain's heart medication during his medical crisis is unmistakable and deliberately evocative. This historical reference adds weight to Ava's current predicament, highlighting the cyclical nature of Port Charles' moral challenges and the recurring themes of revenge, redemption, and ethical boundaries. Ava's reaction speaks volumes about her character and the complex evolution she's undergone throughout her tumultuous storyline. Her casual observation, "Oh my, look at here, you need these," delivered with a calculated coolness, reveals the depth of her resentment towards Sonny and her willingness to leverage his vulnerability to her advantage. The gravity of Sonny's condition cannot be overstated. The symptoms suggest he may be experiencing a serious cardiac event, potentially life-threatening without immediate intervention. This places Ava at a critical crossroads. Will she succumb to her darker impulses and follow Tracy's infamous example, using Sonny's distress as an opportunity for revenge or manipulation? Or will her better angels prevail, prompting her to set aside their troubled history and summon emergency medical assistance? This moment of decision is not merely about Sonny's physical survival, but also about Ava's moral journey. Her choice will reveal much about her current state of mind and her capacity for compassion, even toward an adversary. The ramifications of her decision will extend far beyond this immediate crisis, potentially reshaping her relationships with numerous Port Charles residents, including her daughter Avery, whose father lies at her mercy. Kristina's dangerous plot. The intensity escalates as we find Kristina Corinthos Davis in a dimly lit garage, an environment that perfectly mirrors the darkness of her intentions. The setting is meticulously detailed. Reels of hose arranged on metal shelving, the gleaming surface of a parked car reflecting the overhead lights, and an assortment of mechanical tools scattered strategically throughout the space, each one a potential instrument of destruction. With determination etched across her features, Kristina selects a tool from the array before her, its metal surface catching the light as she grips it with purpose. Her whispered declaration, "Ava has to be stopped, and I'm the one to do it," reveals both her resolve and her dangerous mindset. The implication is clear. She's contemplating a serious act of sabotage, most likely targeting Ava's vehicle by compromising its brake system, a potentially lethal form of revenge. This development represents a significant escalation in Kristina's character arc. Historically, while passionate and sometimes impulsive, she has rarely ventured into territory this explicitly dangerous or potentially criminal. Her willingness to consider such drastic measures indicates the depth of her anger toward Ava and raises questions about what specifically has triggered this extreme response. The psychological implications are profound. As Sonny Corinthos' daughter, Kristina has always existed in the shadow of her father's criminal empire, while ostensibly remaining separate from its more violent aspects. This moment represents a potential crossing of that line, suggesting that perhaps Sonny's influence runs deeper than previously acknowledged. It also reflects the Corinthos family's tendency to take matters into their own hands, rather than relying on legal channels for justice. The technical aspects of her plan add another layer of tension. Tampering with brake lines requires both knowledge and precision. A mistake could lead to unintended consequences or victims. This introduces an element of unpredictability to an already volatile situation, heightening the stakes for all involved and creating a ticking time bomb scenario that threatens to explode with devastating consequences. The plot against Drew. The scene shifts dramatically to Portia Robinson's hospital office, where she and Nina Reeves are engaged in an intense discussion regarding the troubling behavior of Drew Quartermain. Their conversation, already charged with emotion and strategic planning, takes an unexpected turn when Ava Jerome makes her dramatic entrance, inserting herself into their deliberations with characteristic boldness. Ava's arrival transforms the dynamic instantly. Her eyes gleaming with a mixture of frustration and calculation, she veils information that visibly startles both women. While the specific details of her revelation remain tantalizingly obscure, the impact is unmistakable. Whatever she's disclosed about Drew has significantly altered the landscape of their concerns and potentially their planned response. With the confidence that has become her trademark, Ava articulates what she perceives as the necessary course of action. "You both need to take down Drew," she insists, her voice carrying both conviction and a hint of manipulation. This directive, however, is deliberately ambiguous, leaving both her listeners and the audience to wonder about the exact nature of the takedown she envisions. Is Ava advocating for a professional dismantling, perhaps exposing Drew's business practices or ethical lapses to force him out of his position at Aurora Media? Or is she suggesting something more personal and potentially destructive, leveraging Nina and Portia's respective connections to inflict maximum damage on his reputation and relationships? The spectrum of possibilities ranges from relatively benign corporate maneuvering to something approaching character assassination. The ambiguity of Ava's proposal creates a fascinating moral gray area for Nina and Portia to navigate. Both women have legitimate grievances against Drew, but their ethical boundaries may differ significantly from Ava's more flexible approach to conflict resolution. Their response to this proposition will reveal much about their characters and their willingness to compromise their principles in pursuit of what they perceive as justice. This potential alliance represents an unusual convergence of interests among three women who have often found themselves at odds. Nina's history with Drew includes complex business entanglements and personal disappointments. Portia's medical ethics and professional standing could be compromised by engaging in a vendetta, regardless of its justification, and Ava's motivations always warrant scrutiny, given her well-established pattern of serving her own interests above all else. The hospital setting adds another layer of significance to this conspiratorial meeting. As a place of healing, it stands in stark contrast to the potentially harmful scheme being discussed within its walls. This juxtaposition highlights the moral complexity of the situation and the rationalization process each woman must undergo to justify their participation in whatever plan emerges from this unexpected coalition. As the week unfolds, the interconnected nature of these dramatic scenarios will become increasingly apparent. Kristina's dangerous plot against Ava, Ava's moral dilemma regarding Sonny's medical crisis, and the three-woman conspiracy against Drew all exist within the same complex web of relationships and rivalries that defines Port Charles. The collision that occurs in the darkness, witnessed by Lucky Spencer, may well be the culmination of one or more of these volatile situations. As these storylines converge and explode into consequences, viewers will be treated to the kind of high-stakes drama and emotional intensity that has made General Hospital a cornerstone of daytime television for decades. Stay tuned to our channel for daily updates, in-depth character analyses, and exclusive behind-the-scenes insights as these compelling stories continue to unfold in the coming episodes. The residents of Port Charles are walking a dangerous tightrope, and someone is bound to fall. The only questions are who, when, and how devastating the impact will be for everyone involved. Next, we will learn about the intriguing medical mystery brewing at Port Charles General Hospital, where Dr. Portia Robinson appears to be concocting a potentially game-changing strategy against her blackmailer, Drew Quartermain. The quest for revenge, Portia's secret weapon. In the sterile confines of her office at General Hospital, the typically ethical Dr. Portia Robinson has been observed repeatedly reviewing Drew Quartermain's confidential medical records with an intensity that suggests far more than professional interest. The co-chief of staff, whose impeccable reputation has been a cornerstone of her career, now finds herself contemplating actions that would have been unthinkable mere months ago. The thick manila folder containing Drew's medical history has become her constant companion during private moments, her eyes scanning the pages with calculated precision. Medical ethics are sacred, whispers a hospital nurse who wishes to remain anonymous, but when you're backed into a corner like Dr. Robinson has been, sometimes you start seeing those ethical lines blur before your eyes. What exactly is Portia planning? The possibilities are as numerous as they are potentially devastating. Sources close to the doctor indicate that she's meticulously analyzing every detail of Drew's medical history, searching for a vulnerability, a condition, a treatment, or perhaps even a genetic anomaly that could serve as her escape route from the suffocating grip of his blackmail. The irony isn't lost on hospital staff that Portia, who once took an oath to do no harm, is now potentially weaponizing medical information against a patient. The way she guards that file when anyone walks by reveals a hospital administrator. It's like watching someone protect their most valuable possession. Whatever's in there has become her lifeline. The psychological toll of this situation is evident in Portia's behavior. Once known for her warm bedside manner and collaborative approach with colleagues, she's become increasingly isolated, her conversations guarded, and her demeanor tense. The moral compromise required to consider using confidential medical information as leverage has created a visible internal conflict for the doctor, manifesting in subtle but noticeable changes in her professional interactions. The blackmail that started it all. The origins of this dangerous game trace back to Portia's fateful decision to manipulate Heather Weber's medical test results, artificially elevating her cobalt levels to prevent her release from prison. This momentous ethical breach, motivated by what Portia believed was protecting the community from a dangerous individual, created the perfect opportunity for Drew's exploitation. Enter Selena Wu, Port Charles' enigmatic crime lord whose network of informants extends into every corner of the city. Through channels that remain mysteriously undefined, Selena acquired irrefutable evidence of Portia's tampering and promptly delivered this explosive information to Drew Quartermain, providing him with the perfect ammunition for blackmail. Selena Wu doesn't do anything without calculating every possible outcome, explains a former associate. Giving Drew that information wasn't just about helping him, it was about positioning herself advantageously in whatever fallout might come. Armed with this devastating leverage, Drew has effectively transformed Portia into his reluctant puppet, forcing her to publicly support his self-serving hospital sports program, an initiative transparently designed to rehabilitate his increasingly tarnished public image rather than benefit patients. The program, which has received considerable media attention, serves as a perfect smokescreen for Drew's true character, allowing him to pose as a philanthropist while continuing his behind-the-scenes manipulation. For Portia, each forced smile at press conferences and each disingenuous endorsement of Drew's vision has been another small death of her professional integrity. The psychological warfare has been subtle but relentless, with Drew occasionally reminding her of the precariousness of her position through seemingly innocent comments about professional ethics and accountability in medicine during public forums. A dangerous alliance forms. Desperate situations call for desperate alliances, and Portia has turned to perhaps the most skilled manipulator in Port Charles, Ava Jerome. Their clandestine meeting in the rarely used hospital chapel, chosen specifically because it lacks security cameras, marked the beginning of what could become either Portia's salvation or her complete downfall. Ava, whose reputation for strategic thinking is matched only by her capacity for ruthlessness when necessary, quickly assessed Portia's predicament and proposed a solution that would have been unthinkable under normal circumstances. Join forces with Nina Reeves, another of Drew's victims, to orchestrate his downfall. When Ava suggested bringing Nina into this, I thought Portia would refuse immediately, reveals a source close to the situation. Their history isn't exactly friendly, but desperation makes for strange bedfellows in Port Charles. The alliance is fraught with risk, as Ava was quick to caution. Her warning to Portia about potential backfire wasn't merely cautionary, it was born from extensive personal experience with schemes gone awry. The three women represent a formidable combination of medical knowledge, media influence, and strategic cunning. But their success depends entirely on perfect execution and absolute secrecy. Three women with different backgrounds, different motivations, but a common enemy, observes a longtime Port Charles resident. It's like watching a powder keg with three different fuses. You just don't know which one will ignite first or what exactly will happen when it does. The mystery of Drew's medical file. The contents of Drew's medical file remain tantalizingly mysterious, But Portia's intense focus suggests she's discovered something potentially devastating. Hospital gossip has generated numerous theories, each more intriguing than the last. One compelling possibility centers on Drew's cognitive function. Given his history of captivity and the experimental procedures he endured, could there be evidence of neurological damage that would call into question his decision-making capacity? Such a revelation would be particularly damaging for someone positioning himself as a business leader and community figure. The brain scans in that file have been the focus of her attention, claims a radiology technician. She's had consultations with neurologists that don't appear in any official hospital records. Another theory gaining traction involves Drew's genetic profile. The whispers growing louder in certain circles suggest that Portia may have discovered inconsistencies in Drew's DNA that cast doubt on his Quartermain lineage. If true, this would represent not just a personal identity crisis for Drew, but a seismic shift in the power dynamics of Port Charles. The Quartermain name opens doors that would otherwise remain firmly closed, explains a longtime family associate. Without that connection, Drew's influence would diminish considerably, and his financial standing would be devastated by the loss of inheritance rights. Perhaps most intriguing is the speculation that Drew may actually be an impostor, a theory that would explain the dramatic personality shift observed by many longtime Port Charles residents. The Drew Kane portrayed by Billy Miller was widely regarded as kind, principled, and genuinely likable. In stark contrast, Cameron Matheson's Drew has revealed himself to be manipulative, egotistical, and morally compromised. It's like they're two completely different people, notes a former colleague. And maybe that's exactly what we're dealing with. The imposter theory gains traction. The imposter theory has gained particular momentum among those who knew Drew well before his recent personality transformation. The dramatic shift from honorable man to egotistical sleazebucket, as one former friend colorfully described him, seems too extreme to be explained by normal character evolution. If Portia has indeed discovered evidence suggesting Drew isn't who he claims to be, the implications would be far-reaching and potentially catastrophic for numerous Port Charles residents. Beyond the obvious Quartermain connection, questions would arise about every business deal, every relationship, and every decision made since his return. A brain tumor explanation, while medically plausible given Drew's history, has been dismissed by many as too convenient. Such a diagnosis would effectively absolve Drew of responsibility for his actions, providing him with both sympathy and a clean slate once treated, an outcome that would deny justice to those he's harmed. A tumor would be the easy way out, insists a victim of Drew's machinations. Some ravagers can't be excused away by medical conditions. They reveal the true character that was always there, just waiting for the right circumstances to emerge. The DNA manipulation theory presents perhaps the most narratively satisfying possibility. If Drew's genetic tests were falsified to establish Quartermain lineage where none exists, the revelation would strip him of both financial resources and social standing in one devastating blow. Tracy Quartermain, who has never fully accepted Drew into the family fold, would indeed jump for joy at such a development, while those who have suffered under his influence would find satisfaction in his dramatic fall from grace. The potential fallout. Whatever Portia ultimately discovers and however she chooses to use that information, the potential consequences extend far beyond her personal vendetta against Drew. The ripple effects would touch numerous lives throughout Port Charles, potentially restructuring power dynamics that have defined the community for years. For Portia herself, the decision to fight fire with fire, to counter Drew's unethical behavior with potentially unethical actions of her own, represents a moral crossroads. Can she justify using confidential medical information as a weapon, even against someone who has threatened her career and freedom? The answer to that question will define not just the outcome of this particular conflict, but Portia's self-perception and professional position moving forward. There's a line in medicine that, once crossed, changes you forever, reflects a senior physician who has mentored Portia. Using patient information as leverage, even with the best intentions, leaves a mark on your conscience that never fully fades. For Drew, the stakes couldn't be higher. Beyond the immediate threats to his reputation and standing, there's the possibility that whatever Portia discovers could have legal implications. If he has indeed been masquerading as Drew Quartermain while knowing he has no legitimate claim to the identity, charges of fraud could be forthcoming. And for the citizens of Port Charles who have watched Drew's rise to prominence with varying degrees of suspicion and acceptance, the potential revelation would force a community-wide reckoning with how easily they were deceived and how willingly many embraced a man whose true nature or identity remained hidden beneath a carefully constructed facade. The countdown begins. As Portia continues her clandestine examination of Drew's medical file, the tension in Port Charles continues to build. Her alliance with Ava and Nina represents a formidable threat to Drew's carefully constructed world, combining medical expertise, media savvy, and personal motivation into a potentially unstoppable force. When three determined women in Port Charles decide someone needs to be taken down, observes a longtime resident, it's not a question of if they'll succeed, but when and how spectacular the fall will be. For viewers watching this drama unfold, the coming weeks promise revelations that could fundamentally alter the landscape of Port Charles. Will Portia find the smoking gun she needs in Drew's medical history? Will the alliance with Ava and Nina hold strong under pressure? And most importantly, will justice finally be served to a man who has manipulated and harmed so many? As one hospital staff member put it, in medicine, we're taught that proper diagnosis is the foundation of effective treatment. It seems Dr. Robinson is finally diagnosing the disease that is Drew Quartermain and preparing to administer a cure that Port Charles won't soon forget. Stay tuned to our channel for daily updates as this explosive situation continues to develop. The truth about Drew Quartermain may soon be revealed, and when it is, no one in Port Charles will be left unaffected by the fallout.